Tonight, we're stepping into the long stone corridor of an ancient castle. Torches hang on the walls, their flames flickering. The wind whispers through the cracks in the heavy wooden doors. As tourists, these places feel romantic, but if you truly had to live here, especially on a winter night, you'd regret it within the first hour. The simple truth: castles were bone-chillingly cold. Without modern heating, double-glazed windows, or comfortable padding, you'd quickly realize the real enemy wasn't some rival knight, it was the unbearable cold. If you really enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe. And for those listening now, comment below with your city and the current time there. I love seeing from which corners of the world you're tuning in now. Dim the lights a bit, slow your breathing, and imagine you're preparing for a night in a medieval castle. You're walking through a vast chamber on stone floors. Your boots echo. Even fully clothed, the cold bites into your skin. The stone walls don't hold heat, they absorb it. Historians praise castles as marvels of defense, but they rarely mention comfort. The truth is, those thick walls that could withstand siege engines also trapped cold air inside like a giant refrigerator. As the sun set, indoor temperatures dropped. As fast as outside, you'd see your breath fog in front of your face. The air was heavy, damp, utterly unwelcoming. Castles were built to keep enemies out, not the cold. Architects focused on moats, drawbridges, and arrow slits. Insulation never crossed their minds. Many northern European castles were built on open hilltops for visibility and defense advantages. Great militarily, but a curse for sleep. Wind slammed against every wall, whipping cold gusts through shutter gaps and under doors. You might think massive fireplaces would save the day. But no. In the Great Hall, a roaring fire only warmed a small circle around it. Step away, and the bone-numbing cold returned. By the time you reached the bedchamber, it felt like entering a storage cellar. Interestingly, late medieval travelers' accounts mention ice forming in bedchambers overnight. Frost on bed curtains or frozen water in wash basins was normal. In January, a thin layer of ice on walls was expected. Anything else was rare. Yet people survived. They didn't let their bodies freeze. As night fell, families followed routines to trap as much heat as possible. Though castles were huge, they shrank livable space at night. Fires were banked low, beds enclosed with curtains, layers of clothing piled on until movement was hard, and everyone prayed the wind wouldn't be too cruel to imagine entering a medieval bedchamber. The bed is raised high off the floor, not for style, but because cold air pools low. Still, chill rises from the stone. Sliding under covers, your body feels it immediately. Some historians believe castles grew more comfortable over time. Others say comfort tales were exaggerated later. Tapestries and heavy curtains did help retain some warmth. That's true, but cold usually won. The truth lies somewhere in between. You're lying down, the wooden frame creaks, the straw mattress russes, wind howls against the walls outside. A small oil lamp flickers nearby. Your toes already tingle with cold, distant guard boots, creaking roof beams under snow. A dog barking in the courtyard will remind you how harsh the world outside is. Many think nobles lived in luxury while the poor suffered cold. But ironically, peasants sometimes fared better. A small timber and mud hut with one fire could warm an entire family. In a vast stone hall, even 5 fires couldn't reach everyone. Contemporaries noted this irony. Nobles' letters complained of castle winters, advising travelers to bring extra blankets for survival. Not show. Here, you realize how much ingenuity night required. One blanket wasn't enough. Layer upon layer, wool sheets, drawn curtains, sometimes. Sharing the bed with people or animals, all small ways to create warmth pockets. This experience reframes medieval life. They weren't just warriors, lords, monks, or servants. They were survival experts. Every night a test, every winter a battle. Sleep, which we take for granted, required generational tricks. Now, in your cozy, modern bed, think of those people shivering through stone-cold nights. Their nights were long, mornings bitter, but they endured. How? That's a story we'll unfold slowly, trick by trick, deeper into the night. Now we're entering the castle's hearth, the Great Hall. If the bedchamber is a stone tomb, this place is at least alive. Long wooden tables in rows. The air carries scents of roasted meat, spilled ale, damp wool, and lingering smoke from the ceiling. After sunset, the Great Hall was where the castle stayed awake longest. People gathered not just to eat, but to soak up heat. Servants rushed with bread, ale, and hot pottage. Dogs scavenged underfoot. Laughter, songs, clinking, knives stirring the hall, almost festive. For a while, you forget the howling wind and icing windows. Truthfully, in most castles, the Great Hall was the only place somewhat heatable. A massive open hearth in the center or at one end burned near constantly, in winter sometimes whole tree trunks. High-status folk claimed spots near us. The fire, others shivered by walls. But heat didn't travel far. Step away, and cold returned. Warmth rose with smoke to the rafters. People huddled under cloaks, pressing close. Few truly got warm. Most pretended. Accounts say grand feasts in winter weren't just for eating, they generated heat. Hundreds of bodies plus fire made the hall tolerable. Servants were sometimes told to stand close for extra warmth. Feasts were survival strategy alongside joy, but this warmth didn't last. Feast over, music stopped, guests gone, the fire was banked. Embers glowed red, last stand against cold. Within hours, the Great Hall sank into silent chill again. Imagine standing by the fire, reluctant to leave, reaching for final warmth. Face hot, back chilled, hint of what's above. Eyes sting from smoke, hair reeks, but no desire to climb stairs. Some historians say later Great Halls improved heating. Most agree it was overstated. Medieval building prioritized strength over comfort. The clearest image is the transition from Great Hall to bedchamber, leaving firelight for a narrow passage. One torch, sudden cold blasts, breath fogs again. The castle seems to suck away lingering warmth. This shift defined medieval nights. Sometimes nobles lingered so long they slept. In the hall, her-backed benches by the hearth became makeshift beds. Servants and guards often curled near embers rather than face up a cold. Fireside sleep meant sparks, smoke, noise, but still preferable to piercing chill above. Historical records note. Travelers complained most about the path from hall to chamber. The shock from warm to cold caused shivering all night. As if the castle punished daring comfort, the fading hall light weighed on minds. Once left, the night grew long and merciless. The Great Hall wasn't just a room, it was a ritual. A place to hoard heat before surrendering too cold. Each dying torch, emptied cup, another step toward shivering in bed. The fire that roared earlier now whispers. Sparks flare and die. A servant pokes lazily, then gives up. Laughter gone, replaced by creaks of settling castle night. Reluctantly, you climb stairs, cloak pulled tight. Each step fades warmth's memory. Whole light lingers like a dream wishing. It lasted longer. Toes numb, fingers tingle knowing the night ahead is a fight for heat. That fleeting warmth kept people sane. Gathering, feasting, basking in firelight before cold reclaimed. Without the great hall, castles couldn't be endured. It reminded, even briefly, what warmth felt like. Now you're climbing higher, away from fading hall glow. Air changes abruptly, fire warmth gone, replaced by deep, damped chill. Walls thick, sometimes 12 feet of stone separating from outside. Seems protective at first, but here's the irony: walls shielding from arrows trapped cold inside. Like entering a basement in winter. Stone remembers temperature, radiating chill. Even if outside warms. Medieval builders mastered strength and durability, not comfort. Walls became dual, fortress against men, but prison to weather. Historians agree only half areas stayed warm. Fire burned, smoke rose but 10 feet away, an icebox. 13th, 14th century writings show nobles sat right by flames. Heads under cloaks, servants stamping feet behind. Fire created a tolerable bubble. Stone never softened. Travelers' journals oddly complain, walls sweated. Moisture condensed on cold stone, dripping. All night drip drip beside bed, not a soothing lullaby. Some seasons, moss grew on inner walls. Yes, castle life sometimes felt like a cave. Modern researchers debate how effective tapestries and hangings were. We imagine rich wall fabrics, but did they truly warm, or just decorate? Some say they reduced drafts, creating warmer pockets behind curtains. Others say later romantic views, exaggerated cold air seeped through windows and doors anyway. Debate continues, but clear. People tried whatever they could. Imagine entering a January bedchamber. Small hearth fire, perhaps dying. Walls tower like mountains, wool-lined but slick. You're shivering. Bed stands central, heavy curtains drawn. Inside curtains, air a few degrees warmer, small cage against cold. But the room beyond, stone tomb. Mental strain was real too. People wrote fearing cold more than hunger or disease. Hunger and illness pass. Winter nights endless. Trapped in your own home, no escape. This imprisonment marked minds. You pull blankets tight. Wind whistles through arrow slits. Ears burn, fingers stiffen. Dreams of ice and fire. Walls protect. Nothing acting like an endless freezer. Your perspective shifts. Castles weren't glamorous daily. Machines for survival trading, comfort for security. Every winter night reminded. Stone stops arrows, but not cold. Sleep wasn't peaceful rest, more war against environment. Invisible. Merciless enemy. Battlefield. Always the same. Your room, bed, body. You're crossing the room. No carpet or polished wood dry. Rushes strewn on floor. Not just decoration. To reduce foot chill, absorb spills, and best, crude insulation. Late medieval records show refreshing them yearly. Fresh brought summer grass, scent a touch of warmth. Feet softer, less noise, slight heat trap near floor. But beauty faded fast. Food scraps, spilled ale, bones accumulated. Rats and insects thrived. By winter's end, so filthy a French writer complained like sleeping in filth pile. Interestingly, rushes served dual, warmth trap and moisture absorber from walls. Otherwise, slippery stone and icy puddles. English accounts show mixing lavender, rosemary, or scented herbs to mask odors, but also comfort. In bed, amid damp wool and smoke, faint lavender didn't heat, but made night bearable. Architectural historians debate effectiveness. Some say true foot insulation, others symbolic cleanliness. Either way, simple materials fighting winter. You're in bed. A servant finishes scattering fresh rushes. Soft rustle underfoot, fragrance rises. Briefly, room feels clean, civilized. But you know morning brings absorbed damp and rot. The feeling in this bedchamber is extraordinary. Under the sheets, the comfort of wool or fur. But all around, the smell of old rushes, the sharpness of herb smoke, mice scampering on the floor. Everything reminds you this is not luxury, but survival. Yet there's a cleverness to it. Using ordinary plants gathered from riverbanks or fields, they fashion tools to endure the cold. No thought of carpets or insulation, just how to keep the chill at bay a little longer. Sitting on the edge of the bed, you run your hand over the pile of fabrics. If medieval winter night had one great secret weapon, it was cloth. Wool, linen, fur layer upon layer, wrapping yourself into a cocoon. Account books show how vital textiles were. Linen sheets were basic, smooth against the skin, but poor at retaining heat. Over them, thick wool blankets so heavy that some compared them to dogs. For the wealthy, fur covers fox, sable, even bear. Nobles poured wealth into these, not just for show, but for survival. A fun fact: servants joked that once their lords were tucked in, they couldn't move. 5 or 6 heavy blankets were tucked so tightly that turning over risked everything unraveling. Freedom of movement traded for warmth. Most accepted the bargain. Fur deserves special mention. Practical as well as luxurious. From cold climates, fox, marten, sheepskins, dense and warm. One writer described a Burgundian noblewoman who never traveled without her fur covers, even in summer, fearing night chills. It seems strange to us, but in places where cold air cut like knives through every room, the fear was rational. Some households had odd customs. Sleeping directly on linen was thought unhealthy, it drew heat from the body. So wool or fur was deliberately placed above and below. Linen too cool, wool too warm, fur to trap it all. How scientifically effective it was is unknown, but it shows a blend of folklore and practicality. Researchers still wonder whether these fabrics were truly about survival or mainly status symbols. On one hand, wealthy nobles hoarded fur covers. On the other, poor families survived without them. Their reliance was rough wool blankets. Some historians argue fur was primarily a mark of power and prestige. Others say in drafty castles it was a life-saving necessity. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. It was both a survival tool and a badge of honor. Now imagine lying under this pile. Wool fabrics itch slightly against the skin, far rougher than modern cloth. Over it, dense fur covers, almost suffocatingly heavy, but at least keeping cold. At bay, the weight of blankets presses you into the straw mattress. You can shift a little, but too much movement risks cold air slipping into the cocoon. Your breath warms the space around your face. The rest of the body depends entirely on the fabric barrier. The room's silence heightens every sensation. The rustle of linen, the rough scrape of wool, the faint animal scent of hides. There's a primal, deep intimacy to it. You're wrapped in nature's fibers and skins. Every thread and hair reminds you survival means turning the environment into your armor. Here lies the essence of medieval sleep. Rest meant building another fortress inside the castle, not with walls and moats, but with sheets and furs. Each night, you created a barrier against the cold with whatever fabrics you could gather. Without them, even the grandest bedchamber felt like a tomb. In this imagined cocoon, you understand the nightly ritual. Layer after layer wrapped, weighing yourself down, praying to last until morning. Cold may batter the shutters, creep through stone, circle the bed, but inside this small fabric fortress, you have a fighting chance. The bed itself wasn't mere furniture. It was a device and machine for creating a tiny, livable climate inside. A hostile room. Drawing the heavy curtains of a medieval four-poster bed, you weren't just entering someone's private sleeping space. You were stepping into a micro-world, built for survival. Account books of noble families show how crucial. These massive beds were. Unlike the poor's simple straw pallets, these were raised high off the floor, often man-height, made of oak or walnut. Corner posts, like pillars, often carved, supporting a canopy. The canopy wasn't just decorative, practical. With curtains hung all around, body heat could be trapped. The cold room could be made a little warmer. It was like a tent inside the bedchamber. Once curtains were drawn, the difference was startling. Breath, warmth, body heat, thick bedding, all accumulated in a space where temperature might hover just above freezing. A few extra degrees meant the difference between unbearable and bearable nights. There's record of a French duchess who, when traveling, had her bed dismantled and carried in carts. Why such effort? Because the bed wasn't just furniture, was life-sustaining equipment. Sleeping in unfamiliar castles or monasteries without her own canopy and curtains meant shivering all night. Some English sources describe an odd detail: curtains, sometimes coated with wax or oiled cloth to better block cold drafts. Imagine drawing them shut. Heavy fabric, faint scent of honey or resin. They didn't just stop cold, they created darkness, muffled sound and light. Offered an illusion of privacy in rooms where true privacy was rare. Modern researchers still debate how effective these beds really were. Did they truly keep warmth, or were later romantic images exaggerated? Archaeological evidence suggests curtains were thick and layered, so likely effective. Yet some argue the warmth was partly enclosed, sheltered, hidden from vast cold. The debate continues, but one thing is certain. People believed in them so much that portable beds became essential for nobles. Now imagine climbing into such a bed. Wood creaks under weight. Straw mattress rustles. Then you draw the curtains. Closed. Suddenly the air changes. Still cold, but no longer blasted from arrow slits. Breath fogs less. Body relaxes under layers of blanket. Sleep might actually come. Curtains muffle dripping condensation from walls. A servant's cough in the corridor. Dogs barking outside. Inside, only the scent of cloth and fur, slightly animal, yet comforting. Movement produces only blanket rustles. The outer room is vast and unwelcoming, but here, in bed, you've carved out a small space against nature. It wasn't perfectly safe. Some nights, moisture froze, stiff on curtains. Others, hearth smoke seeped in, choking breath. But for most nobles, the four-poster canopy bed was the best defense against winter's nocturnal assaults. Here you see medieval ingenuity nod in grand inventions, but small, clever solutions. No central heating. Create your own climate bubble. No insulation. Hang thick curtains and shut yourself in. Every night, a compromise with cold, and the canopy bed was the closest deal. Now you lie there, eyes growing heavy, the world beyond curtains fading to silence. The room is still cold, the castle still stormy, but with cloth and wood's hell. You've defeated the chill just enough for survival to feel possible. Drifting towards sleep, not because the night grew warm, but because you outwitted it. Even the most carefully built bed curtains, feather mattress, blanket piles couldn't always manage alone on the coldest nights. What made the difference was company. Sleeping alone, body heat dissipated into walls. Multiple people meant more warmth. In darkness, bodies pressed close acted like radiators. Noble families understood this, though rarely admitted it openly. Servants slept in adjacent rooms or on straw pallets at their lord's bedfoot. Not just for service or security, practical reasons too. More bodies slightly raised temperature. You might not notice at first, but when ice formed on shutters at midnight, every extra person became precious. Monastery records show monks slept in long rows, cots or straw beds, side by side. Not just for communal discipline survival too. Crowded body heat created thin insulation. Same rule in soldiers. Barracks rows tight, blankets tucked. Better fight against cold together. A 14th century English manor has a charming story. A noble in his will directed his favourite squire be given a place by the lord's chamber fire. At night, researchers see it not just as favour, but acknowledgement, shared warmth, as valuable as inheritance. Being invited to sleep in the bed or room wasn't just intimacy, special privilege of heat. Another layer, animals, especially dogs. Though three-dog night comes from later folklore, the idea was real. Medieval people let dogs into bed just for company, but heat. Two large mastiffs curled at your feet could mean the difference between numb toes and comfort. Travellers wrote of some inns where guests crowded with dogs, goats, even sheep. The smell was strong, true, but fragrance lost to warmth. Researchers still debate how socially acceptable bed sharing was among nobles. Some say routine lord with trusted companion, lady with maid, traveller with stranger. Others say among high classes it was limited and controlled servants on nearby straw. Not inside the bed, but what's clear is among lower classes, bed sharing was normal. Entire families, huddled parents, children, often grandparents, slims tangled under one blanket pile. Privacy had no value when survival was at stake. Now imagine lying in such a bed, not alone, shoulder to shoulder. First minutes awkward. Elbow jabs, someone's cough, blanket shifts. But gradually warmth builds. Body heat combines into a shared cocoon. Dog's heavy warmth at feet, companion's soft breathing muscles slowly relax. Outside the castle, wind howls, but inside this huddle, comfort is possible. Of course there were downsides. Lice and fleas spread easily, whispers carried secrets. In darkness, but weighed against sleepless shivering, the choice was simple. Warmth over dignity, company over solitude. To modern minds, it feels uncomfortable, sharing a bed with servant, sibling, or animal. But to medieval people, it was survival. Strategy, common knowledge passed down generations. In a world of stone and ice, every extra body was a blessing. Tonight, pulling your own blanket tight, think once of those ancient sleepless souls facing the same cold with far fewer defenses. Their solution was simple: share whatever warmth exists and pray the night is kind. Imagine extinguishing the candle and slipping under blankets. It's not just blankets or curtains saving you. Tonight your very clothing does. In modern habit we sleep in pajamas or nothing. But in the Middle Ages people slept nearly fully dressed as during the day. Garments themselves became part of insulation. Account books and surviving clothing show the main nightwear was a long linen nightshirt, like an oversized tunic. Linen might not feel warm, but it was practical. Easier to wash than wool, softer on skin, breathable. Over it another wool, tunic, or wrap, depending on cold intensity. Medieval thinking: the more layers, the better. But one thing stands out, especially the nightcap or coif. A small cloth cap pulled over the head, tied under the chin. Why such importance on covering the head? because the belief, then quite rational, was that most of the body's heat escapes through the head. Sleeping without a coif was like going into battle without armor. In illuminated manuscripts, people in bed are shown wearing capses, if heading on a journey, not to dreams. Nightshirts varied in length by class. The poor made do with daytime undergarments. The wealthy had embroidered ones, or with fur trim. Some ladies' sleep hoods dangled with ribbons, though in practice it seems impracticable. Anyway, the rule was 1. Cover as much as possible. A 15th century medical text advises wrapping feet in linen or woof, protection from night air. This wasn't just fashion understanding that extremities cool first. People wrapped feet, ankles, even hands, like personal socks and gloves, feel it limbs bundled. Every inch of skin shielded from cold. Researchers still debate how common special nightwear was, or if daytime clothes were reused. Some say the poor had no separate night clothes, sleeping in what they wore all day. Others point to wills and accounts mentioning night linen, at least among middle and upper classes, both true varying by class and region. But all agree, covering up at night was essential. Now imagine preparing for bed this way, removing outer heavy clothes, donning a long linen shirt, pulling the cap over your ears, neck bitten by draught until blankets are pulled up. Each fabric fiber adds a bit of defense together, forming the cocoon. The bed might be stormy, the room freezing, but the body at least becomes a fortress of cloth. The sensations are vivid. Linen cool and slightly rough at first, then warming from skin heat. Wool carrying sheep and lanolin, earthiness worldly, yet reassuring. The cap presses around the head, muffling sounds, giving enclosure. Shifting to settle like wrapped in a packet waiting sleep. Another reason for nightwear was modesty. With bed sharing common, being half or fully naked was unacceptable. Manuscripts show even married couples with caps and long shirts, not just for surviving the night social norms too. Lords and ladies, servants and soldiers all had nightshirts and coifs, as both practical and social duty. Think of these nights, rhythm. Before lights out, adding clothes instead of removing, tying knots, adjusting folds. Modern nightwear means relaxation. In the Middle Ages, it was armor against nature. Tonight, pulling your blanket. Think once of those ancient people climbing into bed as if on a journey, wrapped in linen and wool, head firmly tied. Their sleep was an easier stitch by stitch, layer by layer, engineered against stone's relentless siege. Just before slipping under blankets, a servant approaches. In hand, a long-handled pan, brass surface glowing faintly in firelight. Inside, hot coals crackle, filling the room with ash and hot metal scent. This odd device was the medieval warming pan, simple yet ingenious. Who'd want to enter ice sheets? The ritual. The servant slowly circles the pan between sheets. Heat seeps through small holes. Smoke rises over sheets, faint woody sharpness in air. For minutes, the bed turns from freezing stone to almost inviting. Without it, an hour's shivering to warm sheets with body heat. Noble household accounts list warming pans alongside candlesticks or chamber pot, standard night tools. Not rare, expected. By late Middle Ages, in wealthy European homes, essential. In winter, without one, the household seemed neglected or occupants low status. But risks too. Contemporary letters complain of scorched black sheets or fires if the servant lingered too long in one spot. Imagine entering bed to find a smoking hole where linen should be. Some stories, half humorous, half tragic, nobles leaping up midnight. As sparks ignited dry rushes, an odd Italian account. Scattering fragrant herbs over coals to purify air and ward disease. Still almost smell it lavender and rosemary with coal bite lingering in sheets. Blend of practicality and superstition. Domestic life experts still debate how common warming pans were. Some say only upper class is expensive and risky for common folk. Others say middle families had simple versions. Cloth-wrapped earthen pots with coals. Truth elusive since few survive. But clear. Some bed pre-warming method existed at all levels, forms varied. Now imagine it in your room. Servant swirling pan between sheets, damp turning to steam. Pan removed, air under blankets unexpectedly warm startling after rooms. Bone-ish hurriedly slip in, trapping heat before escape. For minutes, cocoon heavenly like stealing a summer pocket amid winter. But it fades fast. Heat dissipates quickly. Castle walls endless cold returns. The trick wasn't all-night comfort making, the start bearable. Once body relaxes, fatigue overcomes shivers, sleep more likely than manage. Rest with own warmth. The warming pans symbolize compromise. Not enough to fully defeat cold, but sufficient to begin. Like a deal with the night. Give me minutes of ease. I'll endure the rest. Sheets still faintly coal-scented, drifting toward sleep. You realize how ritual-bound medieval sleep was. Every evening a dance of tools, garments, gestures. Warming pan, no luxury showpiece, part of survival kit. Without it, many nights started in misery, not rest. Shifting in imagined bed, pulling heavy blankets. Closer suddenly, heavy pressure at feet. Warm, solid shape curls, at knee bend, contented sound. Not human, a dog, perhaps two, lucky three. Letting animals into bed wasn't unusual. Especially dogs, not just property guards or hunting companions, heating devices. Dense fur radiated. Warmth, loyalty kept them near Lord all night. Ice gave room somewhat bearable with hounds curled at feet. Late medieval wills and accounts. Show noble ladies gifted small lapdogs, not just company, bed warmth. These pampered dogs groomed, scented but chief chop chasing winter chill. Larger breeds lay like furry logs under bed, saving toes from frost. Scandinavian mention. Winter travelers preferred unheated guest rooms to stables with animals. Horses, cows, sheep radiated such heat sleeping near better than alone on stone. Imagine steady cow breath beside. Heavy hay scent but body warmed by massive bulk. Not glamorous, yet effective. But dogs had special intimacy. French proverb. Faithful dog keeps ice from master's heart. Literal and poetic. Animal warmth sustained life. Presence calmed mind in lonely, stormy castle. Researchers debate how universal. Some say formal noble. Homes frowned personal indulgence, not public custom. Others say evidence suggests widespread, especially rural or frontier castles. Survival trumping etiquette. Debate centers image lady with lapdog, romantic exaggeration or real truth. Yet both sides shared one truth. They adapted. Surviving a medieval night wasn't about perfect comfort, was learning to live with hardship, adjusting rooms and habits. To make rest possible. Nobles displayed luxury. The poor relied on closeness and simplicity. But everyone shivered under the same winter stars, dreaming toward dawn. In your warm modern bed tonight, feel this irony as you drift off. Status dictated. Furnishings, but medieval sleep quality didn't always follow. Sometimes the simplest hut held more true warmth than a vast hall. You might think a noble's bedchamber, once set, stayed fixed, such heavy wooden posts and curtains. Why bother moving? But in reality, sleeping spots shifted with seasons. The bedchamber wasn't a permanent sacred space, it was flexible, chosen based on sun, fire, and wind. In short, chasing sun in winter, fleeing it in summer. Noble household records make this clear. Some castles had designated winter and summer rooms not for variety, but physics of warmth. In cold months, moved to south-facing chambers where weak sun shone hours on windows. Walls retained a bit more heat. Wind felt less hostile, waking less brutal. In summer, abandoned sunny spots for north-facing cool darkness. Edward Ivy's household accounts offer a good example. Bedbirds and furnishings, relocated seasonally. Servants hauled feather mattresses, linens, tapestries, room to room. Logistical hassle, but essential for surviving stone palaces. A Bohemian courtier's letter has a funny complaint one year. Cold forced him to abandon his room. Walls so damp and chilly he refused to sleep, there choosing a narrow one facing sunrise. His words remind, the building itself was enemy. Rooms lost too cold, surrendered, reclaimed as seasons turned. Archaeologists and architectural historians still debate if every castle had multiple seasonal rooms, or if this was luxury for grandest homes. Some say most had few suitable rooms and or cold where it fell. Others say window placement, hearth location. Records suggest deliberate seasonal design. Debate unresolved, but image captivating noble families migrating within walls like migratory birds. Imagine following this routine. In autumn, eyeing sunward, rooms knowing long nights soon demand every advantage. Servants dismantle bed frame mattress, hangings carried one by one. New room, carpenter's posts thumping, tapestries nailed to walls. Before first snow, you're in a chamber catching pale morning light, sensation vivid, waking too thin filtered. Sun warmth, scent of freshly hung wool curtains, servants sweeping rushes on new floor. Cold doesn't vanish, Jez managed. From unbearable to bearable. The poor shifted seasonally too, less formally. Winter, huddled near hearth. Summer, loft or stable for cooler air. Castle or hut sleep was mobile, driven by nature's rules, not interior decor. This habit reminds, medieval life had less notion of permanent bedrooms like ours. Not sacred space temporary camp within greater stone fortress. Beds moved, rooms changed, life adapted to seasonal rhythm. The castle lived shaped by light and temperature, inhabitants nomadic within walls. Here another medieval sleep truth emerges. It was dynamic, not static. Fighting cold required movement, planning, constant adjustment. Not sleeping wherever fancy struck where sun, wind, damp allowed. Each year, Earth's turn restarted the cycle. Stand by a medieval room's narrow window. Slit, feel cold air touch skin. Unlike modern glass and sealed frames, castle windows weak wall holes. Defense against arrows, invitation to wind. No glass, no double glazing. No insulation concept shutters, or stretched cloth stopping little beyond rain and birds. Medieval building surveys show glass so rare in many castles. Reserved for chapels or lords' private oratory, common rooms. Wooden shutters, thick planks, barred inside. Open summer for light and air, slammed winter, but wood alone didn't block cold. Drafts through cracks, room damp dark practical fix. Cloth over windows, sometimes oiled or waxed linen, letting light while stopping rain. Day, thin yellow light filtered like parchment screened sun. Night, less whistling wind, but not stopped. Fabric fluttered. Frame rattled, sleepers learned their fortress porous. A 13th century French household account mentions intriguing horn windows. Thin sliced animal horn translucent, set in wooden frames. Sturdier than cloth. Better weather resistance, though quickly yellowed and warped. Part 6. The Battle of Windows. Fire, smoke, and candles' feeble warmth. Imagine looking out such a window. World blurred behind misty glass, yet indoorious slightly. Less cruel. Archaeologists and architectural historians still debate how common horn or oiled cloth windows were. Some say luxury for richest castles, most just shutters. Others say late medieval northern Europe surprisingly widespread. Evidence fragmented, but Deborah's existence reminds how desperately people built barriers against coal. Imagine standing by one. Shutters closed, cloth nailed frame yet thin ice line forming bottom edge. Lean close, breath fogs. Outside snow reflects moonlight. Inside would faint creak, winds rustle like seeking cracks. No matter how carefully hung bed curtains, cold. Air finds path, sound world eerie. Distant corridor shutter bangs, cloth flaps like sails. Servants whisper, stuffing rags in gaps. Some homes, moss or mud, packed around frame-screwed insulation. Dirty, ugly, temporary. But better than nothing below freezing nights. The poor fought same in huts. Often no windows, just narrow slits shuttered. Some stretched animal bladder thin membrane for light. Effect strange room faint glow. Outside world behind curtain. Shadows distorted. Night, even this covering iced, fragile membrane brittle frost. For nobles, irony bitter. High towers gave status and defense, but exposed to cutting winds. Guests, sometimes noted, higher sleep, colder. Poor envied lord's wealth from low hut, but not tower windows howling drafts, yet beauty too. Imagine lie in bed, moonlight, shutter slightly ajar, silver light on floor. Cold enters Truba shadow poetry. Tree branch shadows on curtains, snow faint glimmer outside. Medieval sleep mix discomfort and wonder where harshest nights held. Fragile peace moments. Tonight drawing your curtains, think those ancient windows. Less barriers, more reminders. No matter wall thickness, night always finds way. Sleep, not fully conquering, cold learning coexist, one gust to next, until dawn. Imagine approaching bedchamber, hearth hoping fires glow for relief. Think stone. Room fire means warmth, but reality far less comforting. Medieval fireplaces, vast chimneys, wide enough hold trees. Yet such grandeur, poor at heating rooms. Simple physics, wider chimney, more heat escapes upward with smoke. Fire roars, sparks. Dance, logs turn Colbert steps away. Breath fogs again. Fire created bright, warm island around it. Beyond, room bone-chilling cold. Household accounts show what needed. Large castle winter week, cartloads burned. Forests protected concern not just building, fuel. French lord letter complained, great. Hall warming emptied woods faster than war. Fire devoured wealth, but didn't deliver imagined comfort. Funny stories too. Guests joked, noble fireplaces roast whole ox, but not warm one person. Exaggeration, yet rings true. These hearths gave spectacle, light, grandeur, but little true relief against stone walls' relentless cold. Some placed iron plates behind fire reflect heat. Others, tiled hearth, retain more, but partial fixes, like toying big problem. Front fire, feet warm, back cold. Bed opposite side like outside. Researchers still debate castle fireplaces' effectiveness. Some say with hangings and heavy furniture, retained heat. Others say mostly symbolic status and ritual, most energy. Lost chimney. Truth, varied castle wealth, design, climate. Imagine yourself such room. Fire crackles, sparks fly, hearthstone. Smoke rises, faint, acrid air. Cheeks tingle heat, but shoulders chill. Shift closer, hand extended sleeve. Scorch risk. Then reluctantly turn, bed each step temperature drops. Under blankets, feel sitting. Outside, the poor gained more from small hearths. One central fire, smoky, warmed whole hut. Tight space, fire and bodies tolerable heat. Noble vast fireplaces burned wealth, left room half frozen. Splendor, again not comfort, yet fire ritual important. Not just heat gathering, light, assurance against dark. People prayed fireside, told stories, dozed chairs. Heat not spreading room, light gave mental security beacon life, vast cold. Imagining medieval night. Don't see blazing fireplace savior. See fragile warm island cold sea comfort lasts closeness, vanishes bed climb. Hearth as practical as theatrical. Medieval sleepers learnt grateful little, leaning blazing fire mome security. But then medieval life another reality hits smoke. Fireplaces, not clean, efficient machines. Spewed smoke, soot, room hazy, fog stinging eyes, coating surfaces. Fireside warmth meant nightly smoke breath, accepting black walls, waking lungs, ash lined, contemporary. Writers' bitter complaints. Northern England monk wrote cell so sooty, more cough than prayer. Nobles no escape. Court records, ladies lamented ruined gowns, smoke faded linens. Fresh tapestries, grey one winter. Architecture worsened. Chimneys wide, crude nor modern flu control. Smoke not always politely upward, lingered, filled. Wrong wind, back room, everyone coughing. Travelers' notes, odd observations. Whitewashed or mud-plastered walls not brighten. Hide soot, black. Layer never fully gone, but illusion cleanliness returned. Scent lingered burnt wood, damp stone, scorched wool, mixed clung, beds clothes. Researchers debate, smoky rooms, tolerability. Some say medieval people habituated by these expectations, toughened. Others say contemporaries understood health, harm medical texts, repeated complaints, dense smoke, black lungs, perhaps both. People endured no alternative, but complaining didn't stop. Imagine such night bed. Hair smoke scent, blanket ash tang, cough, bitter taste tang. Curtains trap some so small cocoon holds fire ghost. Room warmer than before, but price fresh air, the poor worse. Huts often no chimney. Central fire, smoke rose, collected ceiling. Slowly leaked thatch. Children grew smoky rooms, lungs, black adulthood, yet normal seemed. Some believed smoke preserved roof drove insects. Survival superstition mixed every breath. Sensation unbearable. Skin, soot particles, tingle, eyes always. Watery, floor rushes black dust. Servants endlessly swept seemed futile. Every winter same fight smoke, fight cold, knowing win, one worsen, other, yet fire essential. Without, castle winter unlivable. So people compromised, hung sooty tapestries proudly, endured cough storms, morning wiped soot faces, warmth required. Sacrifice. Sacrifice fresh air that tonight modern bed easy breathing. Think this luxury extraordinary. Medieval sleepers every warm night meant smoky morning. Dreams filled burnt wood scent. Lives shadowed soot. Fire dimming, night lengthening. Room last light often candle. This feeble flame might think mere decoration, but many, candle fragile warmth source. Single flame not heat whole room troubadour, where every shiver counts. small contribution matters. Medieval candles varied. Wealthy homes, beeswax clean, bright flame, faint honey scent. Expansive chapels, ceremonies, noble rooms. Commonly tallow animal fat. Smoky, sputtering, fatty smell. Drifting sleep. Burning tallow, acrid, thickened air mix, damp stone wall. Scent. Yet candles not just light. Kept close, surprising heat. One near bed curtains, cloth slightly warmer. Some homes multiple candles stand slight small warm pockets. No central heating, but cold edge blunted somewhat. 14th century letter, funny tale noble, Lady Winter Nights ordered 12 candles. Said only then sleep comes. Servants grumbled waste, but claim reveals truth. People used light alternative heater though. Effect minor. Risk obvious. Candles easily toppled. Woolen and curtains terrible fuel. Records fire stories careless candle burned whole room ash. German tragic tale squire left candle bed rail sleep woke blanket aflame. Barely escaped life. Servants blamed him, but real culprit agreed little warmth place to close. Researchers discuss medieval people fully understood risk or daily use careless. Some say scorched fabric accounts suggest accidents common accepted. Others say wealthy night servants watched lights. Either way, risk, comfort, always balanced. Imagine such room. Hearth embers, walls crawling shadows. Bedside wooden stand, single candle burns. Light soft, golden, halo reaches hand pulling blanket. Faint heat. Emerges cheek less cold. Flame flickers, wax melts, drips, air faint, smoke scent. Beyond curtains, room lost dark. Hear subtle sounds, wick sputter, shudder, wind sigh, metal wax drop. Your world shrunk this small, light warmth circle. Candle not just illumination companion. Fragile ally, vast night. Huts inns, simpler versions. Travelers straw beds beside rushlights reeds fat dipped. Burned quick, sputtered but faint light reassurance. Parents small lamps. Children chased cold fear both. Even strict monks allowed dormitory lamps safety need name. Sensation unforgettable. Air throat fat smoke scent. Walls, months. Soot colored. Bedsheets, wax spots. Yet people accepted imperfection. Harsh winter candle more decoration part survival. Tonight clear electric light drifting sleep. Think those trembling medieval flames. Enough full body rest, each flicker. Risk disaster. Medieval sleep never tension-free even smallest details. Closing eyes meant trusting fragile flame. Carrying night warmth without turning destruction. Leaving noble chamber enter communal dormitory. Medieval sleep another side reveals. Not everyone thick curtains, feather beds, personal servants, monks. Soldiers, apprentices, servants often shared spaces luxury, less endurance more. Take monasteries example. Monastic rules preached, simple life, so dormitories, vast halls, rose cots, straw beds. Stone floor endless, high narrow windows. Each monk owned small cot, straw mattress sometimes thin padding wooden plank. Beds so close, hear neighbor breath. No privacy, but warmth from numbers. Accounts describe these halls, resounding at night with coughs, snoring, and the rustle of coarse wool blankets. The air thick, cold, damp but with so many bodies pressed together, the dormitory retained more warmth than a solitary room. One writer said a cloister was warmer than a lord's tower because the monks slept huddled like stacked grain. Military life was even harsher. In castles or on campaign, soldiers crowded into barrack halls. Imagine this dormitory, long rows of soldiers on straw pallets, weapons piled nearby, blankets shared, sheets doubled as covers. The smell intenser mix of sweat, leather, smoke, and human closeness. Yet for the exhausted, this rough companionship became bearable. Shoulder to shoulder meant surviving the night. Some rulebooks mention an odd practice, leaving a candle burning in communal halls, not just for light, but for the comfort of its flame. The glow offered mental warmth even if it barely raised the temperature. The flame's symbolic value was as vital as its heat. Historians still debate whether shared sleeping was deliberately for warmth or simply necessity. Some say in monasteries, it was part of discipline, a reminder against personal luxury. Others say the practical heat of shared space aligned perfectly with spiritual ideals. The same question applies to soldiers, togetherness, for camaraderie, or because solitude was impossible. Likely both. Imagine lying in such a hall. Straw rustles when shifting. Someone nearby coughs. Another turns over. Sounds amplify undervolted. Ceilings, air heavy with smoke and sweat, yet less biting than a lone room. Wall blanket scratches, chin pull it tighter. Grateful for companions' warmth, even while craving silence. The dormitory rhythm is clear. Snoring rises and falls like waves, interspersed with dream murmurs. Somewhere a mouse scurries through rushes, exhausted people ignore it. Cold seeps through high windows, but combined body heat blunts its edge. Not comfortable, but safe far more than a vast stone room alone. Apprentices and servants lived similarly. In castle-side rooms or lofts, boys or maids spread straw beds, sometimes under stairs or in storerooms. Huddled under sheets, no warming pans or feather mattresses like nobles, but advantage in closeness. Their rooms small, crowded, thus warmer. The feeling of these shared spaces unforgettable. Rough wool against skin, animal scent of nearby bodies. Low hum of breathing, straw rustle, distant drip from ceiling. Not peaceful in modern sense, but endurable. People expected neither silence nor solitude. They expected survival. Tonight, resting in your own bed, think of those long halls, monks chanting prayers before lights out. Soldiers collapsing in rows after battle, servants curling in hidden corners. Their warmth came not from silk or fur, from each other. Medieval sleep was as much communal as comfortable. Even in cold castles, surviving was rarely solitary. Imagine this crowded dormitory, yet warmth here was never guaranteed. The fire needed tending, someone always rose midnight to cross the floor and poke coals. Medieval sleep was never uninterrupted. Not just straw discomfort or neighbors' cough, fire maintenance meant repeated waking. Their body clocks differed from ours. 8 straight hours, unthinkable. Many researchers describe segmented sleep, first sleep hours after dusk, then midnight waking, followed by 1 or 2 hours alert tending fire, praying, checking animals or children, then second sleep, until dawn. In winter, this break often for fire duty. Without it, embers died, room unbearable. A 15th century physician wrote of the interval between first and second sleep for thought, talk, or intimacy, to him natural, but to a castle servant, crossing icy floor to stir logs duty, not philosophy. Herd would crackle, blew on coals, prayed it caught. Some village accounts mention odd custom in large households, adults took turns watching fire. Monasteries rang bells night for prayer, coincidentally ensuring someone awake for heat, sleep. It was fragmented rhythm tied to responsibility. Historians debate if segmented sleep universal, or more northern Europe where winter nights long. Some say darkness length made continuous sleep impossible. Others cultural habit. Debate ongoing, but clear. Fire tending central to night's rhythm. Imagine waking midnight, Room silent but for snoring. Push aside, blanket cold shock. Feet find floor, straw rustles. Breath fogs, hands tingle poking coals. Sparks rise, wood slowly catches, warmth spreads again. Sigh relief companions, undisturbed a few more hours. Sensation unforgettable. Would crackle, faint glow shifting shadows, mixed smoke and wool. Fingers ache, but satisfaction a reviving fire steadies you. Back under blanket, bed feels warmer. The pour followed same rhythm. Their hearths, open floor no grand ones. Careless, fire could spread or die. Someone always rose, adjust wood, poke coals. Sleep segmented, bound to fire's pulse. Here understand medieval night, not passive unconsciousness. Discussion, management, watch. People rose, worked, prayed, checked animals, whispered loved ones, then returned sleep. In darkness, life didn't. Stop only slowed, fragmented by firelight and breath. Tonight in warm bed, think how much vigilance stone hall required. Closing eyes, never fully surrender. Sleep meant trusting someone would wake. Tend fire. Keep cold from claiming room before dawn. Back under blanket. After fire duty. Trying settle racing thoughts. But medieval warmth had another trick not. Practicality, but craving luxury. For some, dream hot bath before bed forbidden indulgence. Bathing medieval complex. Heating water, huge fuel. Tubs, large, heavy. Hot baths, not daily spatial occasions. Often communal. Those who could, winter nights soak in hot water, felt magic. Writers describe noble ladies lowering into cloth-lined wooden tubs. Steam rising lamplight. Servants stand by, hot towels. Emerging such bath slip sheets felt winter defeated. Paris record. Wealthy citizens place tubs near fireplace, step out into warm room. Air rosemary or thyme scent herbs. Water, fragrance, medicinal benefit. Skin tingled heat moments, cheeks flushed, body ready sleep. Of course, this joy rare. Most times small comforts sought. Before bed hot ale, spiced wine or mead calm and luxury. Warmth spread inside, chest glow, drawing body sleep. Some homes heated stones, hearth wrapped cloth, placed bed for and hot water bottle. Giving hours heat dot. Odd account noble families heated sand, leather bags placed sheets. Sand retained heat, better stone, molded body shape. Imagine pulling. Such bag cold, feet chills slowly retreating, dot ingenuity striking. Facing enemy winter, people experimented wherever available. Modern researchers debate how common these night luxuries. Some say occasional richest. Others say middle families, hot drinks, stones accessible. Debate shows comfort itself contested. Right. Imagine yourself this room. Fireside servant pours mulled wine. Cinnamon clove scent cuts smoke damp wall. Slow sips warmth chest. Eyes heavy, limbs relax. Climbing bed blankets no longer struggle invitation. Footcloth, stone faint heat. Now night holds no fear. Sensation vivid spiced wine, sweet bite, would crackle coals, warm stone tingle. Drifting sleep all senses, filled, body believing. Comfort possible moments. But truth, these luxuries fragile. Heat quickly fled. Drink cooled, midnight room cold again. These rituals not lasting relief mental grace. Making unbearable, bearable. Tonight resting, think how desperately medieval people craved warmth. Devised clever tools, sought fleeting luxuries, even turned hot drink survival strategy. Their nights not easy but resourceful. Every bath, stone, sip ale, small rebellion against cold. even after baths, heated stones, or spiced drinks. Medieval people relied not just practical means. Cold, not only physical, spiritual, supernatural, too. Night, dangerous. Air carried disease. Evil forces fear. So turned amulets, rituals, superstition, protect sleep. Common practice: hang amulets over bed. Small wooden cross, saint relic, or herb pouch. Rue, mugwort, juniper believed. Ward evil spirits, toxic night air. Imagine fragrant pouch hanging canopy. Scent cutting smoke. Wool, prayer, another barrier. Monastery rule psalm before sleep. Nobles Our Father or Ave Maria. Poor whispered charms half. Prayer, half spelt crossing against frost fever. Some parents murmured incantations over children. Kissed foreheads, ward night. Hagu, believed. Suffocated sleepers, 15th century. German household rule, odd advice sleepers. Kept iron object knife. Scissors under bed pillow. Iron believed repel evil spirits Faries who entered long dark hours. Firelight metal, faint glints, lilac guardian, unseen foes. More rituals directly tied warmth. Folk belief, place shoes upside down bedside, prevent cold biting feet. Another claimed whispering 3 saints' names before extinguishing candle keep body warmth fleeing night. To us, charming superstitions. To them, essential strategies, vital extra blanket. Researchers debate how seriously taken. Some say amulets, prayers, heartfelt belief, deeply woven daily rhythm. Others have beat ritual followed, not fully believed. Either way, rituals reveal fundamental. Sleep never taken granted. Vulnerable state, cold, disease, spirits could attack. Needed physical, spiritual defenses both. Now imagine medieval bed, curtains drawn, fire dim, room shadows, juniper sprig hangs above, sharp scent cuts smoke. Small iron knife, hidden pillowy yet comforting. Whisper prayer words, soft, rhythmic. Pull blanket tighter, cross yourself. Night feels less frightening as if rituals drew safety, circled fragile body. Sensations deep. Canopy herb rustle, iron. Faint scent near head, wool warmth skin, lingering whisper echo. That moment, belief, superstition, survival all blend. The poor did say materials different. Instead, relics, simple charms, carved wood figures, knotted cords, field-gathered herbs. Parents placed garlic, child, pillar war disease spirits both. Animals included. Stable cows, sheep blessed. Dusk their presence believed strengthen room against frost. Every social level cold nights endured not just cloth fire ritual too. Medieval minds sought body warmth, unseen security, both. Sleep stepping mystery wear. Prayer, iron, flame worked together, long darkness. Tonight, entering bed. Think those small gestures, upside down shoes. Rosemary sprig, whispered saints' names. Small comforts no, less real unseen. To medieval sleeper survival never purely physical. Spiritual armor-woven faith, habit, hope. Step back, bed view, whole room. Beyond blankets, dogs, or amulets. Room architecture itself, determined inhabitants. Endure night. Castles built first defense. But time architects tried make interiors livable. Result mix features some clever, some symbolic attempting ring warmth stone. One solar separate, small room, lord family. Opposite great hall vastness. Solar small, upper, easier heat. Own fireplace, thick wall hangings, sun-facing windows. Not modern luxurious stratagem. Smaller room gave fire chance win, warmth battle. Tapestries more decoration. Wool silk woving saints hunts, mythical beasts, but insulation too. One tapestry 10 to 20 feet wide, so heavy servants struggled hang. Behind damp stone hidden, air near. Walls slightly less cold. Close. Wool lanolin, earthy scent, dash comforting. Archaeological surveys show many rooms with paneling. Oak planks, trapped air pockets reduce cave feel. Servants stuffed gaps tomos. Result imperfect, but shows effort turn unwelcoming castle home. Household accounts odd detail nobles, carried favorite tapestries, castle. Not just art survival gear. Traveling without hung cloth, like war without armor. Domestic life experts debate architectural features' effectiveness. Some say reduced drafts retained heat. Others psychological comfort, more vital covered cloth, firelight made room feel warmer. Even temperature little changed. Debate shows subtle play, perception, survival. Imagine entering such room. Door closes. Corridor wind rustle fades. Walls red gold tapestries, woven figures, heart glow candlelight. Carved hearth fire flickers, smoke spirals up. Overhead wooden ceiling, lower great hall space, more intimate. Still cold breath visible, but less hostile, open lower rooms. Sensation, layered hand, rough woven tapestry. Wool smoke mixed scent. Oak logs crackle. Feel shelter even cold lurking behind hung cloth. The poor imitated same strategy simply. Instead woven tapestries, mud straw wall lining, over rough wool torn cloth. Simple patterned colored fabric gave insulation decoration. Both. They too turned bare walls, protective shells making space livable. Another subtle architectural trick, upper floor bedchambers. Rising warmth ground great hall slight advantage. Children slept lofts over kitchen stove heat lingered. Not privacy using. Every stray degree. Yet despite effort, cold never fully banished. Only reduced, not erased. Still wall hangings, solar rooms, wood panels showed disparate desire, turned stone prison home. Tonight resting. Imagine those rooms tapestry shimmering. Faint fire warmth, oak planks colored cloth softened. Not comfortable our standards, but protest. Against stone, ice, endless winter nights medieval families built layer architectural, artistic, mental declaring. This place ours, here lease we endure. Close eyes, imagine medieval bedchamber scent. Not modern ads, lavender linen. Rather heavy stewardess door opens. Understand sleep, understand smells every breath, reminded life condition. First scent always smoke. Winter fires near constant, inefficient chimney soot returned room. Walls blackened, air heavy, scent embedded blankets, curtains. Even fresh-washed linen carried ashtang. Night-lying hair, cloth, skin, smoke clung. Then damp wool smell. Blankets, sheets, garments, winter, never fully dry. Moisture seeped stone walls. Condensed surfaces, absorbed fabric. Wool held damp, scent tightly, ethereal lanolin, slight sour. Pull blanket, chin warm, but not fresh. With its straw rushes scent. Floor covered, bed stuffed but not clean. Trampled boots, soaked spills, mouse. Nesrucious quickly damp. Straw mattress, first grass scent, but week past sweat decay emerged. Shift, another whiff. 14th century household rule advises scattering rosemary. Lavender dried herbs, rushes sweeten room. Worked days. Fragrance blended heavy odors felt civilized. But herbs crushed feet dried, scent faded old. Rush sour returned. Then human scent, hygiene limited, baths rare, sweat constant. Day odors absorb night garments, skin, wool, unwashed bodies. Family or companions, one bed scent intensified. Medieval room breathing meant inhaling others, sometimes comforting, sometimes overwhelming. Researchers debate smell's tolerability. Some say medieval people habituated barely noticed. Others say contemporaries, aware Henson Orbs, incense value. Accounts medical texts lean latter. People complained to odors, sought remedies. Debate shows scent not my no central medieval sleep experience. Place yourself such room. Fire dim, smoke bitter tent. Damp wool, blanket scratches chin. Below straw shifts, damp exhale. Floor rushes, mouse scurries. Nearby companion breath, warm but heavy sweat ale scent. Over it days-old rosemary faint touch slightly masking heavy stew odors. Sensation overwhelming. Presses nose, lungs, etches memory. Cough, adjusts blanket, shallow breaths await sleep. This normal, this life. The poor, experienced, same scale. Hut's animal sense, mixed often same ruth. Cow, sheep, chicken, odors, vermin. Travelers found unbearable. Rural folk. Accepted. Survival part. Yet they too used herbs. Bundles, mint chamomile, hung rafters, fragrance drive insects. Nobles, incense perfumes, occasional improvement. Brazier incense, sweet scent, though odd, mixed smoke damp. Scented oils, garments, created sweet pockets, heavy air, but even richest medieval. Room escaped life's fundamental smells. Imagining castle sleep, don't think crisp, linen, fresh air. Think smoke, damp wool, straw, sweat, herbs, animal mix. Every night, every breath, reminded where you were, what endured. Scent part medieval sleep blankets fire. Over time, familiar scents perhaps comforted. Smoke, wool, straw breath meant home breath. To medieval sleeper scent, not just inconvenience identity, woven every night's dreams. Beyond smoke, damp wool. Damp straw, another force kept medieval people through night's food drink. Might not think evening meal, part sleep, but what eaten before bed, inner warmth, vital outer blankets. Winter homes, heavy pottage barley. Peas root, thick stew simmered slowly. This food stuck body, filled stomach, made enduring cold easier. Broth warmth spreads stomach relief, lasting little longer frozen room. Nobles added meat, spices cream. Pour onions, cabbage, whatever found. 15th century English manuscript advises leaks, night warms. Stomach drives death cold. True or not, shows food, warmth survival link. Hot food not just nourishment, inner insulation. Drinks equally vital. Ale. Most common rich poor drank. Winter served hot filled belly, liquid comfort. Spiced wine or hippocras. Noble favorites. Cinnamon, ginger, cloves heated. Imagine smoky rooms sipping such distant spice scent mixing wool ash. Sweet burn throat, body drawn sleep. French Charles VI court record. King physician prescribed hot mead, prevents cold entering bones. Close our tea habit, though medieval science wrapped humoral theory hot moist drink balanced body.